Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by for your July tarot forecast, or tarot insights, I should say. What I'm going to be looking at is not a comprehensive look at your month at all. This is going to be covering one theme that shows up during your month at some point. It may have to do with love, it may have to do with family, it may have to do with work, it may have to do with your home. It can be anywhere. I basically have given free rein to Sacred Spirit. We're going to talk about whatever it is that Sacred Spirit wants to bring up for each sign. So it's whatever is most important for you guys to hear about. I know that disappoints some of you because you just want those love readings, but sometimes there are other things that are important too. So, what I'm actually going to be looking at in these monthlies is one particular life cycle that shows up for you sometime in the month of July. And a life cycle, what do you need to know about that? A life cycle is something that we all go through, and the purpose of it is to teach us something or to let us experience something either new or at a new level than before. So life cycle gives us a new lesson or new experience, and we have the setup of the life cycle, then we have the lesson or the experience, and then we have the fulfillment or the ending of the life cycle. The fulfillment is what happens as we integrate that lesson or experience into our lives, and that'll be more at the end of the reading. That'll be like the last three cards that I talk about. Before that is the setup, and then in between is the actual lesson or experience. How long is a life cycle is something that I hear a lot. Life cycles really, as far as timing, depend on you and how quickly you embrace or how much you resist the lesson or experience that you're being set up for. So, completely up to you. I've seen life cycles last as short as 20 minutes, although that's pretty rare usually. And I've seen them go on for years and years and years. So like I said, it really depends on you and how willing you are to embrace the lesson or how much you're resisting that lesson or experience. Okay, so thank you once again, everybody, for stopping by, for hanging out. I do appreciate it. Now you know what you're getting into. On with your reading. Hello there, Scorpio. Here is your reading. I almost said on Monday, I'm so used to doing the weeklies. The first thing, though, that I'm looking at is our environment. And just a reminder, environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. This can be home. Usually I see it as home. Sometimes it comes up as school or work. So what I see with environment is this can be coming in a couple of different ways. So for some of us, it's going to be one way. For some of us, it's going to be another way completely. So I'm going to go through both of these, and you guys can figure out which one actually applies to you. Of course, this is a general reading, so not everything I say is going to apply to every single Scorpio that watches this video. Okay, so environment. One of the ways that this can be coming in is that you are sharing your environment with somebody who is a person of action, highly intelligent, very witty, and just very quick to act. When they find information, they act on it quickly. They're not missing any opportunities. No moss is growing on this stone. Now, the other way that this can come in is that there is a lot of activity in your environment. So there's a lot going on, a lot to keep up with, a lot going on around you in your environment. For some of you, I feel like you're actually remodeling in your environment, whether that's office or whether it's home. And for some of you, it's the whole thing. And for others of you, it's maybe like one little room or one section that you're remodeling. Of course, that's not for everybody, but for some of you, that's what I have coming up in the environment. Now, next thing that I'm looking at is subconscious leanings. Looks like you guys are working on, well, because I'm a Scorpio too, working on how to bring in more money. You know, we've got, what is that, Saturn and Sagittarius. That's not hurting us any with thinking about ways to bring in more money. And then also, I think we're finally out of Mars in retrograde. Yeah, I think by July we are out of Mars in retrograde, so we're starting to be able to move forward more with that work that we want to get done to bring in the money, those projects that we have to bring in the money, whatever it is. But subconsciously, we are working on how can we get more money flow into us. Okay, so the next thing I'm looking at is our learning style and our communication style during this life cycle in July. Learning style. Once again, I've got a couple different meanings here. For some of us, we are going to be learning things from the spirits that are around us. So, spirit guides, ancestor spirits, angel spirits. From the spirits around us, we're going to be learning things, some of us. The other thing that I have coming in is learning style for us this month can be whenever we see something that we're attracted to that looks fascinating to us, that's what we learn about. That's what we research. No real plan to what we're learning, not trying to build any particular foundation, just taking the information in as it appeals to us, as our curiosity responds to it. All right, so gosh, I'm feeling a lot of meditation. I'm feeling a lot of spirituality really developing when I look at learning style for us for this life cycle in July. The next thing that we have showing up is communication style. And for communication, I think that we are, the best phrase that I can come up with for how this seems to me is we are making announcements. So maybe we are promoting ourselves in a public way, like with the YouTube videos for me, or maybe you're doing some kind of advertising for your business or for yourself, or but there's something to do with just making announcements. I feel like you're speaking to more than one person at a time during certain points during this life cycle. If you guys hear a zillion and one sirens, I want to apologize. I live pretty close to the fire department and the police department, like a block away. So if they both get going, we could hear a lot for a while. So if you're hearing that, I do apologize. Let's see. So what was I talking about? Communication style. Yeah, but I feel like I don't feel like there's a lot that is connected with this life cycle that is one-on-one communication. I feel like the huge focus right now is on getting the word out about something, whether it's about you or whether it's about a cause that's important to you or something like that. But getting the word out to more than one person at a time. As far as work. Okay, so what we have coming up, if we're looking at work in the form of how we make money, then what I'm seeing is there's something going on at work that has us really heartbroken. So it may be that the company that we're working for is not doing well and has to cut hours, or it may be that something happens with a friend at work and they sell us out so that they can be promoted, or there's just something going on that brings us some heartache with work. Now, if this is inner work that we're doing on our inner self, this is still heartache. And for me, I think that this is like processing, like just letting ourselves sit with that feeling and recognize it and acknowledge it so that we can release it. Even though we have heartache, my eyes are being drawn to something that tells me that this is something that is peaceful. For some of us, I think that peacefulness is because I think that we're going to be losing someone. They're going to be crossing over or making their transition during this life cycle in July. And so that may be the heartbreak that we're actually dealing with as work and that we're coping with. And it may be someone from work. But I see some serenity here and some peacefulness in with this heartache. So to me, this just means that even though we have the heartache, we're not frantic with that heartache. We're not panicked with that heartache. We're not trying to figure out what do we do to make this better. It's a peaceful of, okay, this is what it is. I just need to deal with it, process it, release it, and move forward. All right, so The next thing, that part of you, that part of us that's being grown or expanded during this particular life cycle is the part of us that is learning how to deal with stress. So lots of stress coming in on us, and we are just learning how to handle it. We're learning to cope with it, learning to keep on going even though the stress is there. And by the way, I do want to remind everybody this is a general reading, so not everything I say is going to apply to every single Scorpio here that watches. All right, so the next card that I have coming up is a card that talks about something that we stand for, that we defend. And what I have coming up is traditional things, traditional ways of doing things. So we may be trying to do something in an old traditional way, or doing something in an old traditional way, that someone else is coming up to us and saying, hey, there's a much better way to do that. There's a much more modern way to do that. That's not the way people are doing that anymore. And we're standing up for it for whatever reason. We're standing up for it and we're saying, you know what, maybe so, but this is the way it needs to be done this time. All right, so the next thing I'm looking at is how other people view us during this particular life cycle. They see us as having no plan. Now, for us Scorpios, for people to see us as having no plan, that's kind of craziness, isn't it? It's craziness to imagine us going without a plan, and it's craziness to imagine that people around us can't tell that we have a plan. So if they're accurate and we really have no plan, that's crazy, because we're definitely out of our element if that's the case. Yeah, but that's how people are perceiving us during this particular life cycle. Okay, so let's move on to the lesson or experience. So the experience or the lesson is just that we, through all this stress and everything that's going on, stress and heartache and all of that good stuff, we are remaining steadfast. We are sticking to the things that we know that are important. We are doing what we need to do to keep everything going in our lives. And I think that this may even be a help to us to get through all this stress, is just to focus on the everyday things that have to get accomplished, that have to get done. So that's the lesson or experience as we move through here. And then let's see. As we incorporate that lesson or experience, we've got a couple of things going on here. Whew, yeah. Okay, so first of all, there could be an actual move, like a relocation, geographical relocation coming up for some of us Scorpios. Now, this is not going to be for everybody, but for others of you, others of us, it's not going to be so much of a geographical shift or a geographical move as it's going to be more of an emotional or a psychological shift or change, where we have a dramatic change about how we see things in the world, and our perspective moves, our perspective changes. We come from a different point of perspective. And I think for most of us, it's going to be more about that than it is about literally moving house or changing jobs. Okay, so then one of the other things I have coming up is sort of putting up the defenses. The big sense that I'm getting off of this card that talks about putting up the defenses and kind of guarding our own territory, the big sense that I'm getting here is that this is about dealing with the heartache and dealing with the stress that we have coming up, dealing with it in a way that other people don't see our true feelings. So putting up that barrier, putting up that wall so that we can keep this professional attitude as we go to work, or we can, look like we've got our stuff together as we're operating in the world, when really inside, this stuff is sort of eating us up. Now, let's see. Ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle talks about us looking back at the past and acknowledging good memories that come back from the past whenever we look back, Scorpios. Okay, so that is our month. Lots of stress and drama, it looks like, for us. And it's interesting. This month has been kind of a challenging month for a lot of the signs. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm sure there's an astrological explanation, though. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by, for hanging out, for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. I do appreciate all of your support. Everyone have an absolutely fantastic day and our fantastic month, and I'll see you back here the next time. Peace out.